then when it was time for, you know, us to go fellowship with them and, send our pastor to them to teach,
Mhm.
he wasn't going to have it. Oh, even the pastor's wife wanted us to pray for her husband because he was racist. He didn't want, he didn't feel that, blacks could preach in his pulpit and that they were better than us. So,
But what I do see often is without the police brutality, is race over religion. Without the police brutality, I see men placing themselves. I see Hebrew Israelites, black men making white people kiss their ring, bow to them. I see this because they're black and you're white. I see that, and that's what I'd rather contend against.
Welcome to Acts 2 and 42. Real discussions, real opinions, real stories and testimonies, real church talk. Welcome to Acts 2 and 42.
All right, guys, welcome back to Acts 2 and 42 podcast. Today, I have Bruce, Terry, and T in the studio. Say what's up, guys.
what's up?
What's
Guys,
happening?
So today, when this airs, it will be February. Which kind of wanting to do like not a theme, but trying to stay in touch with what's going on at the time, trying to kind of forecast what's going to be happening when this comes out. I'm thinking February is most notable for Black History Month, and other than trying to find, great Black Christians or whatever to fit the Christian conversation, I thought how much more fitting if we just talked about race and religion, or in this case, race over religion, and talk about the proper role our races, our cultures, our traditions have, concern like in comparison to religion,
Yeah.
and the examples where they go too far. The examples where it's promoted far more than your belief in a God or whatever. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there, and what you guys like race over religion, and I don't know. I guess how I just kind of set it up. I mean, what comes to mind for you? What are your first thoughts? Is there an equal balance, or there's some extremes that can be unhealthy?
Wow. When you
Don't
say
don't all answer at once.
I don't know. I don't know if there is an equal balance. You know, just my thought process is when it comes to Christ, I don't see race at all. So I don't know how there can be a balance at all, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
You know, um, but I do think that when race is thrown into, the church, it definitely, um, I think it starts tipping the scales in the opposite direction, regardless of how much is how much is put on the scale.
Mhm.
If there was a balance,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think race starts to tip the scales in its favor. And when I say favor, I don't mean in a good way.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
so um,
Yeah, disproportionately.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think um, to me, I think a lot of it it comes from, I don't know. I guess if I was to say anything, it's like birds of a feather flock
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
Who do you feel most comfortable around?
Mhm.
You know, um, if I was to be truthful, um, I think genuinely, I think I feel more comfortable around. If I was to say people that I don't know
Mhm.
at all,
Yeah.
whether
Yep.
black or white, I would probably say that, I'd probably feel a little bit more comfortable around black people.
Mhm.
And I don't know,
I think everyone does.
even you.
Most people. No. I mean,
I'm just messing with you.
honestly, I do. Nine times. It
I'm
just
just messing with you.
it's yeah. I don't want to offend any white people. I don't have a problem with white people. But it's just yeah. Let me just get to what I was
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
say. I think it's human nature to feel more comfortable
Mhm.
around people that are like you, that you
Yeah.
identify with. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't even have to be race. It could be homosexuals. And they
Absolutely.
feel a
Yeah.
little bit more comfortable around their own kind. It could be
Yeah.
Christians.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable around your own kind. It doesn't mean you hate the other group of people.
Yeah.
It's just that's like the easiest for you.
Right.
It's the easiest climate.
Something to something that's relatable.
Yeah.
But somehow that has crept into the church though, because that's why you have, you know, people say, do you attend a black church
Yeah.
or do you attend a white church?
Yeah.
When it's really just one church.
Yep.
But because you feel comfortable,
Is there black churches and white churches? Like,
I mean, if you use the word church, absolutely not. But I think, I think,
assemblies,
yeah,
gatherings.
yeah, gatherings.
I think there most definitely are.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's it's okay to admit it. It's not a bad thing. Like, if there's a black assembly or Latino assembly or Filipino or Korean, we're assembling to worship, right?
Yeah.
We're assembling to worship, to learn the ways of God, all these different things. And we're gonna do it in ways that
you
we
feel
do it.
comfortable
Yeah,
with.
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
so whether it's the instruments you use or the apparel, the dress that you wear, it's probably already going to be what's common and sort of acceptable to your culture. If it's acceptable for a woman to be topless and breastfeed in the assembly,
Mhm.
then that's going to go on in the assembly because no one's going to bat an eye.
Mhm.
Now, if you do it in Delaware right now, you're gonna be on the front page of the news.
Yeah. And
You
there
know-
was just a post about that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, the people worship naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. No.
What?
I don't know about that.
And I hate this, they were all white people.
We ain't hiding our sin. We ain't like Adam.
Well, no. Let
We ain't
me
covering nothing.
rephrase that. The shot, there was only white people in there. So there could have
Gotcha.
been some black people in there.
Got you.
Some Hispanics, But
Gotcha. That's crazy.
Wow.
But you get what I'm saying
Yeah.
as far as, the culture's gonna creep in or the culture's gonna be present. Not necessarily creep in,
Yeah.
but the culture's gonna be a part of it, and
Mhm.
that's okay. I don't know if it's a good time, but I think it touches on like multiculturalism and the problem with multiculturalism. And I didn't see this going there, but I agree with guys like Thomas Sowell
Mhm.
that it's a ruse. This is not something we should be promoting. It's something that intellectuals and politicians claim because it sounds good.
Mhm.
But what it actually is talking about kind of a melting pot to melt away everyone's identity and make them all one.
Mhm.
And I don't think that I don't think the church doesn't have to be multicultural.
Right.
The church can have whatever culture it has. And if that's your culture,
Yeah.
you can feel comfortable worshiping there. And I still think I'll fellowship at a white church, black church, Latino church, regardless of the culture. It may not be my everyday gathering, though.
Right.
Mhm.
But it's not going to, I don't know, push me away.
No, I don't think attending an all white, assembly or all black is it wouldn't push if that's what you were saying. I don't
Mhm.
think it would push me away either. But I think what happens is, you bring when you have these predominantly whichever race it is, which I'm just going to say black
Mhm.
because I'm black. In a predominantly black assembly, you hear other things creep in because of
Yeah.
you know, teachings
Yep.
or experiences.
Mhm.
You get pulled over by the cop and you're not by a white cop and you're not treated, how you may think it's fair. And it may not have been fairly.
Mhm.
And now you bring that experience to the assembly, where God is supposed to be there who loves everybody, but now you start talking about this white guy
Yeah.
who hates you, and now you give reason why you should hate him back,
Right.
and that creeps into the assembly, and that messes up the whole thing. It messes up to me. It messes up the whole body.
Mhm.
You know, But that's my input on it.
Mhm.
You know,
Diablo.
Pass.
Sheesh.
Nah, race or religion, man. I mean, I guess just with today's climate, I think it is people are being more geared towards race over religion. Just because of everything that's on social media, um, news and everything you see,
Mhm.
and a lot of times it's depending on what you see as a black person. I see a lot of, you know, I see a lot of things where, it's mostly, black people are the victim.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I know it's not like that all the time,
Mhm.
but when you, but what I noticed, like, for instance, on my Twitter, I follow one person and they might retweet something, and then I'll go and check that person's page out,
Mm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
and then I'll just see that, it's a pro black page.
Mhm.
So now it's like, only thing that's on there, it's pro black,
Mhm.
or,
Mhm.
it goes against, you know, every other race or
Mhm.
thing like that. But I seen this video, and the guy was saying how the reason people are leaving religion, because people are starting to wake up and see, and he went to the how the white man used the Bible against the black
Mhm.
man and
Mhm.
that whole thing. But my argument was just like, I think what it is just that people are leaving certain religions. I'll just speak for Christianity. They're leaving Christianity, and now they're just seeking a new religion, which is science.
Mhm.
But that's just my idea and thought.
Mhm.
But it's like you just see the climate. You just see every day. You just see violence being committed. Police on black
Mhm.
people, and
Mm.
when you see that all the time,
Mhm.
then it's like, man, where's God?
Yeah.
Where's God at? And then you have some people come in. Your God doesn't care about you because look what He's letting happen to you. You a
Yeah.
black person. Why are you? Then you have other uh religions, I guess, Islam and things like that.
Mhm.
They come in and just, they bring their ideas, and
Mhm.
people just gravitate towards, I guess, what they deem to benefit them
Mhm.
as a people. I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. And I guess the main focus thus far, has been pro-black mindsets. See, and I think there's a few examples that I personally believe prey on that black American perspective or whatever you like. We were talking before we started, and it's like, so if you have this mindset, like someone has a boot on you and all your people, white people namely,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and someone comes along and then takes a spiritual book about the most powerful entity ever that knows you and loves you. There's a purpose for the boot, and this is how you get the boot off you. And God doesn't like the boot. And it's like you take a vulnerable people because of that mindset, or Farrakhan, in the nation, or even Islam to Arabs.
Mhm.
You tell them they're special just because of their nationality, just because of their skin color most of the time, not even nationality,
Yeah.
just because of complexion. Because if you was light skinned, and they could barely, or biracial, they wouldn't have wasted their time talking to you about Hebrew
Mm.
Israelite. They thought you were white, but I thought it was based on genealogy, that type of thing. But I don't know. So I see it as a breeding ground, vulnerability, a breeding ground for the deception, for the lies. Um, so I guess when we talk about race over religion in America, it's gonna be very strong on the black and white issue, and I don't know. I mean, outside of white supremacy, which is very, very few, is there a lot of people that think that because they're white, like God loves them more, or take a lot of pride in their whiteness and have exclusively white things? I think I'll ask the question and I'll answer my own question. How about that?
I think what based on what Bruce just said, and I would say yes, based on what Bruce said, because of what social media is putting out there. Um,
That there's like Christians or people that say
God
because
loves
I'm
them.
white,
Yeah, hmm
really?
I think so. Yeah, and vice versa. I think that there are
I
people.
don't see it
I've
anywhere.
never seen it. Like
Yeah.
I've never seen
I've
it.
seen it expressly
Yeah.
with blacks. I've not seen it with whites.
hmm
What?
Yeah.
With black people saying that because they're black.
Just blackness alone
Yeah, you're their
makes
superior.
them religiously superior.
Yeah,
Oh, I actually had an encounter with a white guy before.
I'm talking. About, I thought you was talking about like en masse, not just.
Yeah, like movements,
Yeah.
like minds, like religious
Oh,
mindsets that
I mean, it's out there.
I can't. Yeah,
But
I
this
think
is
it's out there, but
I don't-
I don't know of any
yeah,
particular
I don't
movements.
I don't actually
well,
and-
where yeah. I'm sorry, I don't want.
no.
You're getting ready to tell me. I was just gonna ask. So where do you encounter this? Where do you see this?
Well, I guess it's just, you go down that rabbit hole. I always find myself on Twitter going down rabbit holes because it's like I know there's a pro black Twitter and I know there's a pro white Twitter. So I oftentimes go there and you'll see like there's really, but like you said, it's the whole white supremacy thing. But I actually had a conversation with a guy who told me straight up Jesus is white and
Jesus
he's
is
coming
white.
back for white people. Like black people don't have a place in God's kingdom. And I was just like, wow. I mean,
And I've,
Where's
I've
But
that?
that's
seen it.
white supremacy, right?
he didn't
Oh,
come
go ahead.
off like
He was a white supremacist.
yeah,
And
he
I
didn't
don't
come
know.
off like that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of making a trick question because I'm like, well, excluding white supremacy, which
Right.
Forget that trash.
Because people tell you.
You
I mean,
know.
I think you have. I know that there are some whites who they don't care whether you know that they're white supremacists or not. They really don't care. But then I also know that there are probably some whites who do care and won't share it. But they still, have it in their heart that they're more supreme than any other race. So they won't attach themselves to, you know, to white supremacy.
Yeah.
But
and I don't want to make this about like racism.
right, yeah.
I want to make it
understand.
about racial posturing
Mhm.
over religion.
Yeah.
Like the white person thinks that their whiteness and their white culture is superior to their Christian faith.
And
You know
I'll
what I'm
say
saying?
this.
Like I want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're framing it.
And you might
Yeah,
have to
that's-
edit this. You might have to edit this.
Okay.
Okay.
You gonna cuss?
No.
They about to
But I'll
flip
be honest
they about
with
to
you.
flip the
It makes me
table.
think. It makes me want to. Them mother blip, blip.
Yeah.
But like for instance, I'll say this. No, I am going to say it. You might have to edit it. So
Okay.
let me kind of pause.
Okay.
And then come back in.
Right.
All right. Lighthouse Christian Center.
Okay.
In Milford, Delaware.
Yeah.
We have, at one time, our church fellowship with them, pretty regular.
Yeah.
Had, the pastor from that church come and teach at our church, preach at our church. We had we used to do this annual apostolic day where, because, they're the local apostolic church and us, we would come together in Milford Park and set up a big tent and have a good time. Their choir would sing and our choir would sing. We would come together. But then when it was time for, us to go fellowship with them and, send our pastor to them to teach,
Mhm.
he wasn't going to have it. And we found out that, even the pastor's wife wanted us to pray for her husband because he was racist. He didn't feel that, blacks could preach in his pulpit and that they were better than us. So, and this is within the UPCI movement, you know. Now, like I said, you might have to edit this out,
I was
but
going to ask, do you want me to air this part?
it doesn't bother me at all,
Okay.
you know.
Doesn't
Doesn't
bother
bother
me.
me at all.
Don't bother me none.
Okay.
Yeah. But
They can bring around here.
but this is this is a well-known organization, and
Yeah.
then when you when you start looking into things like that, you kind of see those, and I understand it's a black church, white church, black assembly, white assembly, you birds of a feather flock together. I understand that, but when you got people who actually believe that stuff and they're coming across pulpits, but they don't associate themselves with white supremacy. The movement is out there.
I
know?
don't look. I'm gonna have to play a skeptic. I mean,
Mhm.
not because I don't want to accept it exists, but that exact scenario,
Mhm.
for two reasons. For one, is it's actually like hearsay.
Mhm.
It's someone else saying someone else said it. It's like
I
three
agree.
degrees of hearsay.
Mhm.
where it's not that the pastor said, we don't have a quote from the pastor saying,
Mhm.
he's black and black men can't preach in my church.
Yeah.
We have someone saying his wife said it was for that reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know the person. I don't know, I don't
Right.
know enough to
Okay.
accept that
And that's
source.
fair. That's fair. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but the second reason is I know members there,
Mhm.
and I've talked to members there,
Mhm.
and I've heard at least from their experience why there was a falling out, and they
Mhm.
have a different story.
Mhm.
So, and none of it has to do with they don't like black
Mhm.
preachers. They don't. And I don't want to get into airing their dirty laundry or
I
someone
thought
else's
one of the
dirty
guys
laundry.
they sent out to. I thought one of the guys they sent out for them not too long ago was a black guy.
He is, yeah. He was a youth pastor at the church,
Mhm.
and I think it was an agreed situation, but I think he desired to go out, and they permitted him and blessed him, whatever,
Yeah.
or at least I don't know if they really did, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
it seemed like a mutual agreement. But yes, they had a black like youth pastor or whatever associate pastor,
Mhm.
just that was probably 3-4 years ago.
Mhm.
But like I said, from asking the people that I know there.
Mhm.
And not that their story is the right one,
Yeah.
but there's two sides.
Mhm.
Always. It's always.
Yeah,
It's always.
they're not saying anything about that. Whether they have black people in their church really doesn't matter as far as who they let in the pulpit.
Right.
That is different. But there was issues
Mhm.
that also being present at our church, I
Mhm.
hear from our church that these issues existed
Mhm.
that then they reference.
Yeah.
And I know they exist because people in our assembly have talked about things that have occurred.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it was more, that was what I was told. It had more so to do with issues and things that took place
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
maybe that was the scapegoat.
Right. Yeah.
I was just play devil's advocate. If there's truth on both sides, maybe the old man's a little racist. Maybe he just says, nah, that boy ain't coming in here. I'll go give them some truth, but he ain't got nothing for me.
And
But
we
that
have
was
black
the
churches
reason.
do the same thing,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, to
Yep.
their own race.
I've told stories back in the day that I was invited. Well, I was sent to some. Well, I won't tell the whole story, but anyway, but I wasn't. I don't want to incriminate myself or others,
Yeah.
but I was told that I wasn't allowed in their house because I was white. I hadn't done anything to them,
Wow.
Mm.
till they found out I was the candy man. So and then they let me stay. But yeah, it was like, what's he doing in here? He's
Yeah.
got to go.
Yeah.
Ain't no white people in here.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay. It didn't
Yeah.
bother me at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because I didn't do nothing to you,
Mhm.
So anyway, I don't want to reject it, but like I said, those
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
those
I
are
mean,
reasons why I
absolutely.
had to be skeptical. Is like with the cop getting pulled over. I think let me say, I don't think it's kind of like when we did the video on atheism,
Mhm.
and it was like, show me evidence of God. It's like, show me evidence of racism.
Mhm.
It's like what constitutes evidence for you and for you are two different things.
Yeah.
Different
So
things,
your
right.
what
Yeah.
you accept and what they accept aren't going to be the same. So
Right.
you're not going to see eye to eye.
Mhm.
But I think we all forget what side we're on. We all have to play the skeptic and really critique and say, did
Mhm.
this cop treat me bad because I'm black? Or does he treat all the people he pulls over bad? Or
Or is it a bad day?
or
any
he
of the
had a
other
bad day
variables?
or
Mhm.
whatever. Or I'm a bad guy. We
Yeah.
never, it's never that. You were doing 50 through a school zone, sir.
Yeah.
There's kids that live here.
Right.
I don't like you.
Mhm.
I don't have to like you. I have to give you tickets. That's what I do.
crazy.
Mhm.
50 through a school
But I
zone.
don't. I also don't want to be the guy that says I don't believe it. I'm not trying to do that either.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
Because a person's experience is their experience,
right? Right.
and I mean, for one thing, that's not going to change,
Mhm.
in regardless of who believes it or not.
Mhm.
The experience is the experience, and I think, even going back to the church, um, I don't know, maybe when you genuinely love everyone,
Mhm.
you know, it is what it is. I mean, like for me, for instance, I mean, we don't. I mean, you're the only white minister that we have at our church. You know what I mean? And so why aren't there more? Probably because there aren't any other ones. Um,
Yo, that was a mean sip.
but nonetheless, let me finish my story.
Come on, T. Come on,
but
T.
but my thing is, being, just being an outsider, looking in and just, hearing stories from other people who worked on the inside. I don't know. It ain't right. I don't like it when I see it come from, come from our church as well.
Mhm.
I think we talked about that a little bit. You just can't call people racist, just like you
Yeah.
said, you know, just because.
Yeah.
And you may have a good reason, but I don't think it's a good enough reason. But then it's vice versa. Someone else
Right.
can look at it and say, "No, I can identify with that." You know.
I
So
wanted T. You haven't said anything,
Nope.
and
Like
I
always.
know because man, we've had
yeah, what
look,
is
Like
that?
always, don't never say nothing.
look,
Tell
yeah.
say tell somebody say something you don't agree with.
I think, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you don't mind sitting back, listening to where someone's at, and in your
Mhm.
mind you form your own opinion of that or response. And hey, if I'm called on or given the space, I'll give it. But right now, I'm just hearing, I'm
Yeah.
soaking it up. Um, but I want to hear what you have to say, and also let me just hear what you have to say, and then I do want to kind of ask, like talking about the
About which part?
experiences. I have something, just race over religion, anything. Where are you at, in anything we've discussed thus far?
I do want to address, or at least respond to the the experience won't change. I I'm trying to understand, um, not necessarily whether the experience changes, but if me changing or at least giving you something to consider
Hmm.
will change the perspective, change the perception of the experience. So I think too many
Example,
times
example, like the
the
cop
cop,
pulling. Yeah.
yes. Um, I think because of our culture, because of what was done, we kind of jumped to racism. So if it's said, well, I think he's racist, and I say, well, is that the case, or do we consider this? Did you consider him having a bad day? Did you consider maybe you came off wrong? Anything,
Hmm.
give us some other insights to what could have been the issue,
Did he
could
call
be
you a
could
racial
be
slur?
contributor. Yes.
Like I see if you, yeah. Go ahead.
So bringing those things up, it doesn't change the situation, but it could change your perception of the situation. How you perceive it.
Hmm.
Instead of you thinking that it's racism, now it's like, okay, well, there are other things that could have been at play here. But I think too often we jump straight to racism,
Hmm.
and I think it excuses us from really considering and thinking critically on many different matters. Um, as far as race over religion, I see race over religion more so from the black community. Um, because I really think that they put their race over the religion, over what the scriptures actually said. And I've heard men say, "Yeah, I don't believe that," and about scripture
Hmm.
because their race is dictating that they are chosen.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter what scripture says. I haven't had the conversation with anyone of any other ethnicity that has said the same thing, but I've
Hmm.
heard this expressly, from blacks. But I think that my my issue isn't necessarily with race over religion, but I think that we've gotten to a point where race dictates religion. I think that stretches outside of just black and white because generally with Hispanics, their race normally dictates or their ethnicity normally dictates them being
Hmm.
Catholic.
Hmm.
You know, that's a dangerous thing um, because where does that stop? You
Hmm.
know, it starts off with blacks being Christian. Now we're Hebrew Israelites, and then before you know it, you're back in Egypt.
Right.
Worshiping false gods.
Right.
So it's a dangerous ideology. And I think it's like a spiritual identity politics,
Hmm.
which again plays on the identity of a group of people as a whole instead of the merit of religion, the merit of um, the God or the thing you're following. So I just think it's a it's a poisonous area. I think it's a poisonous movement
Mhm.
where people are putting their race above religion and whether it's the scriptures or whatever their religion teaches.
Mhm.
Your race dictates how you view it, not actual critical or critical thought, not considering context of scriptures, not deep study. You know, those things go by the wayside
Mhm.
because it's my race.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand how you can be a Christian and put race over your belief in the Bible.
Outside of the movements, I think it's easy to do that. It's you know
Accidentally.
yeah, accidentally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
People do it accidentally. They do it without even realizing that they're doing it
How?
because black pride. I'm black and I'm proud
Mhm.
and
But that would, uh, I don't understand how you could be a Christian
And have
okay.
black pride.
and say, because I'm proud to be black, but if I see a white person in need, oh, I'm black pride, so I can't help you.
People do it all the time. I mean, people.
As a Christian,
No,
Yeah.
no. I guess what I'm trying to say is
I think he's pointing out that the conflict
Yeah.
that there is with being Christian
yeah,
and having pride in your race, and not just pride, but the
Terry's like,
superiority.
Terry's like, look, it happens, and you're like, yeah. Fundamentally, it can't.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally, there's a conflict there.
it
That a
should
Christian, and then we're all, how are we defining Christian? Is it Christian a
Yeah.
person that goes to church? Is it Christian, like if you follow the teachings of Christ,
Christ,
then
yes.
yeah, like you said, I'm a Christian. I don't even see race. I don't even see the point.
I think it goes
You
back
know?
to what T said. If they don't know that they're doing it, then that's how it happens.
Right.
If they don't realize that they've just put race over religion,
Mhm.
you know, when I think we all I think we all know most don't want to sit down. They don't want to consider
Mhm.
you
Mm.
know
No, they don't.
what happened, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of it has to do with experiences, man. Some people just it's almost like PT was it
PTSD.
PTSD.
Yep.
Some people, and I'm talking about Christians. You if for us to think that Christians don't get beat up by cops, white cops, black Christians don't get beat up by white cops. I think we'd be sitting here tripping, thinking we'd be tripping to think that that doesn't happen. So he gets beat up by a
Does it?
white cop. He gets beat up by a black Christian gets beat up by a white cop.
Okay.
Does that now make him not a Christian anymore? No, he's still a Christian. He just
Yeah.
got beat up by a white cop. But now he's taking that experience
Mhm.
and said, look, all white people are bad.
No.
I'm not saying
By
I'm not
accident.
saying everyone.
Like by because the
The
experience has
experience
injured him, and
has
that's how he
injured him.
responded.
So now he takes that injury back to his black assembly. He testifies about it, or he does whatever he's going to do about it. And next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of amens going on in
Should
the
have took
church.
that experience back to his God
Maybe he should have, but he
as
doesn't.
Christian, and I think that's where I don't accept the the reasoning, because as Christian,
No. See,
I'm supposed to go back to that. I've had experiences,
I'm not
um,
disagreeing with you on that.
but that right there is what we have to go back to. And as a Christian, he should go back to that. I'm
Right.
not saying don't be injured, because it hurts.
Yeah.
Right.
There are things that hurt you, but we're supposed to be going back to that. And
That's what we're
the assembly
supposed
should be
to.
pulling you back to that.
That's what we're supposed to
You said the
do.
assembly should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. The assembly should be saying, hold on, bro. We understand you had a bad experience.
But when the assembly has
It's
those
just-
experiences
yeah.
too, yeah,
When you
and
got other
influenced by
people,
outside,
there you go.
yeah,
Yep.
I understand.
And so now it's like you got this whole group of people, so-called, now I got my air quotes on, that they're supposed to be Christians who are lining up with now this hate towards this opposite race.
Justified hate.
Right. Yeah. And so unfortunately, that's what it does happen. We can't say that it doesn't. 'Cause
I
it
don't know
does.
that it does.
I believe it does.
I mean, I think there's been a couple times where we've kind of thrown out hypotheticals as if these are actual experiences that we know have happened. There are a lot of things that probably could have happened somewhere. I don't know. So I get the scenario, but I don't see that happening. So I think it's a moot point. It's a debatable point. But what I do see often is without the police brutality is race over religion. Without the police brutality, I see men placing themselves. I see Hebrew Israelites, black men making white people kiss their ring, bow to them. I see this because they're black and you're white. So
Ain't happening, boss. Ain't happening.
I was gonna get there.
Ain't happening.
He gonna kiss the ring by the end of this podcast.
Hey,
But that's what I see expressly. Like I see that, and that's what I'd rather contend against, not the hypothetical.
Nah, I don't
person
think it's
that got beat on.
hypothetical. I
I think
honestly don't.
what he's saying is it's hypothetical until you actually have evidence that this happened. If you have a story where this, you know what I mean? Like if that happened to you, now it's no longer hypothetical. If it happened to Bruce, if it happened, um, and I would have to agree that we can imagine any variety of probable things.
Mm-hmm.
And until we know that they happen, we could just say, pastors beat kids all the time.
Absolutely, but we've
And I
never
think
seen
they
it.
do, but
Yes.
the reason we know this is because we have cases brought up of physical and sexual abuse by pastors.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have something to point to and say, this is when a Christian, for no reason at all, was beat down by a police officer because he was black, then we look at that case and say, okay, it was a police officer. Okay, it was a Christian. Okay, he committed no crime. Okay, the police officer hates black Christians or whatever the thing is. But you have to have a scenario to look at, an actual real life scenario, and then you have to pull it apart and say, okay, was he a cop? Yes, he was. Is he a Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a Christian. Did he commit a crime? And go from there. And it's until then, it's
And me personally, I believe that that's the reason why I think that that's the reason why we're, I guess, in the space that we're in right now, because you know as a black, now I'm being told that I have to prove that racism, that this happened because of racism. I mean, we hear that all the time. Blacks, we hear it all the time. Maybe no one around this table, but when
I'm sorry, hear what exactly? I'm not
that
sure.
we have to prove that racism actually existed or was present when let's say a white cop beats a black man or black woman or whatever the case may be. So now we get
Are we talking about racism now?
I think it is.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking about race
Okay.
over the black church, and I just said a black man, but okay, we'll say a black Christian.
Like I don't know. I just want to be clear.
Okay, I got you.
Like
I
I'm
got
not
you.
trying to debate whether racism
Yeah,
exists.
yeah.
I know we're tiptoeing around it. I don't
Yeah.
mean
Oh, I was just well, it did
Yeah.
drift off, but I think the original question: how does race play over over religion? And this is I'm just pointing out that this is one of the scenarios that causes race to play over religion. As Christians,
some
should,
mistreatment
absolutely,
taints the water.
absolutely,
Okay.
yep. And so now, and whether it's through a police beating or through some guy walking the street and all of a sudden a bunch of people a bunch of people of the opposite race jump out and beat him down. Whatever the scenario, something caused this man now to look at the opposite race as either beneath him or just to be against him. And if he happens to be someone who is Christian, he takes those experiences back to the black assembly, and now all of a sudden that bad seed starts to fester. That's what
I
I'm
think
pointing at.
and I think I agree there, and that's kind of not the premise of all this, but
Yeah.
like when we talked about Hebrew Israelites, like my fear or my perception and my fear is that Black Americans, because of being disenfranchised and because of feeling the boot, you're vulnerable. to having a tainted relationship with God.
Yes.
Someone's going to come along, appeal to that feeling,
Yeah.
that
Appeal
knows
to the
that
hurt.
feeling, that can appeal to that feeling, and
Excuse me.
and
Relate to
man,
it.
run with the deception from there. You
Yeah.
know, and let's say it's not a false religion, but just Christianity. Here's my concern with the experiences, and this isn't. I'm not interested in um, like disannulling someone's claim of racism. Okay,
Mhm.
but let's assume racist cop beat you down, right? We know he's racist. We confirmed all that, right? And that's the case. As a Christian, you're right. We're Christians. We make mistakes. Being Christian doesn't mean everything you do is by the book.
Mhm.
You're saying, man, the book says don't do that. And not that I don't think you're trying to not give any space for mistakes, but Terry's just like, man, look, we're human. If this happens, man, you got a chip on your shoulder and you bring it back to the assembly with the chip. And then everyone's amen in the chip and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
trying to kind of connect some dots or whatever. I think we have to be aware of the experiences. And what T is saying is, wait a minute, let's analyze the experience first. I don't think some experiences we're saying hypothetical, some experiences we're viewing it through that lens. We think they did that to us for that reason, but we don't know that. Even if you know it is, right? I agree with T. Let's confirm it is or it isn't, but pretend you don't have a nationality because your citizenship is in heaven.
Mhm.
I don't care why they hate me for my earthly citizenship. I don't care about their earthly nationality, right?
Yep.
A person just did evil to me. How does a Christian respond?
With love. With love.
Bless them, which
Mhm.
persecute you. Pray
Yep.
for them, which spitefully.
Mhm.
I think the assembly doesn't do that brother a service when they come back to the assembly crying racism or whatever the case may
Absolutely.
be. It
I
doesn't have
agree.
to be racism. It can be all sorts of evil done against
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
So I don't want to pick on racism.
Yeah.
But that's a good example where, yes, our experiences, bad things happen in life, whatever it is. In this case, we're talking about things that affect our race. We bring it back to our faith. We bring it back to the collective. And we got a chip on our shoulder because of this.
Mhm.
And what we should do as Christians is not play into the narrative.
Absolutely.
We should say, regardless of this, regardless of any other variable, that's evil. That's Satan.
Yep.
Your job is to love them.
Mhm.
Heap coals of fire on
Mhm.
Satan's head, not necessarily the
Mhm.
person's. But you answer evil with love. You answer
Mhm.
everything with love. Even Abraham Lincoln said the best way to overcome an enemy is to make him a friend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is like he was Christian and well read, um, but I don't know. I think we definitely talked about a bunch of different perspectives, and I think brought it back to even when bad things, even when racism occurs or things that sometimes it's a normal, typical response. It's still unhealthy and it's unchristian. As you said, Christians don't see it like that.
Mhm.
I was going to mess with you and said, as a black man, I was saying, are you black or Christian?
I'm a black Christian. I'm a black Christian.
You didn't say okay, all right. but man, it's not to pick on black pride or
Yeah.
you know, man, I'm not for no kind of pride but Christ. I'm not. And that's not just for words. And maybe I don't have. Here's okay. If white, because I mentioned not saying white supremacy, and I wanted to kind of
Mhm.
address a possibility of why that might be. I think black pride is more socially accepted than white pride. That's why you don't hear of white pride. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Right? It exists. All kinds of evil exist on Twitter. All forms of debauchery and sin
Yeah.
exist on Twitter. It's
Twitter
it's
is
a
like the mainstream
a
dark
melting
web.
pot
Yeah.
of hate.
Twitter's like
It's
a
terrible.
immediate access to the dark side of the
Yeah.
The
internet.
darkest of the web. Yeah.
2 or 3
Um,
profiles, you're in there.
So you're gonna have white supremacy, on the
Yeah.
web, and I think that's probably why I'm not as familiar with it. Probably why we don't see it as when we say race over religion. It doesn't seem like white people doing that, but I think it's probably because it's not socially allowed.
Mhm.
Like the world today, that's if it happens, it's got to be behind closed doors. But the world's not saying black pride has to be behind closed doors.
Because you can't, according to the intersectionality doctrine, you can't be black and racist. So blacks can do it
True.
without being pegged as being racist.
It's true. Yeah. And that's what colleges teach.
It's
It's what
trash, but-
media represents.
Yeah.
I put a post up on one of my pages. This is a while ago, and it's so crazy. I start with T, and it was the white power,
Mhm.
black power logo. They're both identical. They're both identical, and I think that you know. Once again, I'm saying I think they're both prevalent. I think they're both just as much talked about. But I can't prove that because once again,
Mhm.
birds of a feather
Mhm.
kind of flock together.
Right.
So I know what goes on in my culture. I
Right.
know what goes on in my little group. So because I'm outside, I don't kind of, I think you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm not, I'm
Yep.
not, I don't socialize with too many whites or with that community.
Mhm.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to see that there is a lot of the black pride or
Mhm.
black reverse racism or however you want to call it. I would have to I would have to agree there. But if this is all I see, but I think it's probably equal.
Yeah.
You know, um,
So both forms are wrong.
absolutely,
Each one poisons its own well more than the others.
absolutely, both are wrong. And
Can I like black and white are inventions?
and I don't think
There's no such thing as the black
When you-
race. There's no
when-
such thing as the white race. It's utterly ignorant.
when you
utterly
ask the question,
ignorant,
when you say
you
is
know?
black pride wrong or
Yeah,
white pride
yeah.
wrong, I don't think black pride is wrong. When you start saying that your race is superior to another,
Right.
that is wrong. I'm proud to be black.
Okay.
I'm not anything else. I don't know anything else but black.
Yep.
So I'm proud of it.
So there's a and I think
You
kind
know
of like
something else?
I just don't understand it. Like I don't.
I'm proud of
get
my
it.
black culture.
Well,
I get
I
to
don't
walk
understand
around with
it.
kinky hair.
as
And
but if you
it's
say
me.
as a Christian, like as a Christian, I don't see race. I don't see what race has to do
I'm
with
proud to
anything.
be black. That's what I'm saying. I'm proud to be black. I'm proud to be a black Christian. I can't. I mean, am I something else?
I don't know. You're a Christian. Like I don't know. I'm proud to be a son of God.
I'm
You know
proud
what I
of that
mean?
too.
I'm not saying I'm not trying to imply that you're not, but like I don't there's no pleasure for me in the flesh. There's no pleasure justification that hey, I'm glad I got this straight hair that just lays down nice and slick. I can do a little Bieber if I want or you know.
Right.
You know
But
what I
there's
mean?
nothing
Like
wrong
I
with
don't
that, is
take
it?
no pleasure in that because it's nothing.
Right, it's nothing.
It's all going to fade and perish unless it's translated.
Absolutely, but
You
there's,
know,
but I mean, but is
So
there
I
anything
think
wrong
that's
with
where
that?
he's coming from. I don't know that's wrong. It's just it doesn't seem woke. like you know, had to use it. No, like in the Christian terms, like a Christian takes no pleasure or thought in the cares of this world or the things that are carnal and fleshly.
I don't see that at all.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
From-
I'm not trying to say it's
like,
wrong.
the-
I don't
the-
care if you
yeah,
have pride
yeah,
But then
or
I
like
think
your
the point-
hairstyle.
like,
That's cool.
What
but-
separates that from the Jew that takes pride in his lineage?
Absolutely nothing. I think he should be
There-
proud in his lineage. I'm outside of the Christian thing. I'm outside of the church thing.
Mhm.
I mean, something would have to be wrong if you just hate where you come from or don't take
I don't
pride
think,
in where you
I
come
don't think
from.
not taking pride is equivalent to hate. Like I'm just indifferent. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. I think for me to be proud that I'm black, for one, I have to justify why I'm proud that I'm black. But I'd
I
also
don't
have
think
to
so,
like
man.
I'm good with knowing that I'm saved, and like well, I mean dead seriously, I'm good with that. Being black doesn't. It's of no consequence to me. You know, it didn't help me, it didn't hurt me. I don't think being white would have helped or hurt. So I really don't see the benefit or something to be proud of outside of just being elected by him. You know, if anything, I'm proud that I'm a Gentile because he came for us.
When I
You
didn't
know,
know.
and I'm grafted in. Yes,
Right.
yeah, I'm grafted. I'm not blinded. You know, with Israel. If anything, I'm proud of that for that reason. you know, but it still boils back to him. But as far as being black, I couldn't care less.
Well, I didn't propose the topic
Yeah.
to say there shouldn't be a Black History Month or shouldn't be Black
Oh,
Pride
no.
I
or
don't think
I
there
didn't
should
take
be a
it.
Black History Month.
no.
No, I don't.
Please share.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be a Black History Month.
Oh, okay, I got you.
This, I mean, you put the history of Black people in a month, the shortest month.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're saying it should be more inclusive in the rest of the year,
Yeah,
not
that should be
Okay.
history. Period. I mean, it's the
Gotcha.
history of people.
Gotcha.
Like you just Black History Month. Like this is the month right here.
And all right, you saying that we're out of time, but you saying that we are you saying that isn't that like I don't know how to word this. I don't want to say anything racist. No. No, I mean, but isn't there like, all right, why is it? You're saying why is there a Black History Month? Why don't we just teach the history of people?
Yeah.
So why is there a Black Pride? Why isn't there just the pride of people?
Because the separation of people that's just been created.
So is
The
it a
masses.
good thing?
What
Black Pride.
I think is damaging to people. Black
That's
people.
not good, right?
I don't think it is. No.
Okay. I'm just again, I don't have a motive to say Black Pride is not good. I don't have a motive, like I said, your confidence or your whatever in who you are. I'm not against people being proud of who they are, being proud of themselves, having confidence, holding your head up high. And I don't think anyone here is. I think he's saying I don't esteem it any different. It's nothing to esteem.
I think that's two different things.
I'm
but
not saying that either.
But I'm asking the question:
Is Black Pride equivalent to Black culture? Is that the?
what is black culture?
don't ask me. I'm the white guy.
What is black?
I don't know. I think it's
This
all
hole is
relevant.
getting deeper.
No, I think it's relevant. You know, if
Because it's like when you hear somebody say, when you hear a white person say, white pride. A lot of times,
I've never heard
immediately,
white people say that, but I'm sure they do undercover.
a lot of
or
times
on Twitter.
a lot of times it's immediately attributed to white supremacy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
That's why I say you can't say it publicly.
Yeah.
I can't say white pride.
Associative conditioning. Like you're associated with whatever you've been conditioned to associate it with. So when you hear it, it's automatically have this negative connotation. They may not even be speaking as in a sense of trying to overstand or feel or be superior to another. It may just be the same as
I'm just
Terry
proud to be
saying,
white.
I'm proud
He
that
proud to
I'm
be
black,
black.
or he's proud to be white.
but it's
Well,
there's
there
a
ain't nothing wrong
negative
with it.
connotation automatically associated with it.
Because of all the, like you said, this era that we're living in, for a long time actually, before I was born. But I just don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I don't know where I'm originally from, and this is going, maybe kind of drifting a little bit too far. But I don't know where my ancestors come from. I've never.
I can tell you.
I'm sure.
I can tell you.
Okay, go ahead and tell
And
me.
this is where I wanted to end. We all came from one guy.
Well, yeah,
We all
we
came
all
from
came
one
from
guy.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to be of the tribe of Noah.
Okay, and that's cool.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
cool.
so how subdivisions and subsects.
But I don't
You know
think,
what I mean? And I'm not. That wasn't a rebuttal. I don't want
Yeah,
you to
yeah,
think
yeah,
that is a
yeah, yeah.
rebuttal.
No, I
I'm
know.
taking it as it's a rebuttal to race over religion. Our race we're sons of Noah.
Paul
Absolutely.
said that he made all men of one blood for to worship him.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
Mhm.
I think we
I wouldn't
all
put out
agree with
like
that.
an argument against you.
No,
I was just-
yeah, no, I wouldn't.
yeah,
That wasn't a rebuttal
Right,
to you.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. But I just think that that we all are, we're sons of God. We're children of the Most High, and that's where it really is. But I just don't see anything wrong with me, loving my mother because she's a beautiful black woman, or loving the next.
I don't love my mother because she's a white woman. You know what I mean? Like I don't
That's
I
fine.
love my mom. She's a beautiful white woman. I've never said that.
crazy.
It's crazy.
Yo.
It's crazy. Like if the shoe's on the other foot, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I'm not. You're making the appeal for your love for blackness. I'm just responding to your
Well, he has a
appeal.
love for blackness too.
No, see, even there I don't. I love Shrek. I love Shrek.
Touche.
There's a difference. I don't love every black person just because they're black. You know what I mean? I love.
So you hate black people.
You got everyone but Shrek.
Somebody will take that clip.
Right,
Hey, yo, look,
Yeah.
I love black people. I love white people. We're all from one God, you know. So it is what it is, you know. But one thing for sure, I definitely can say, you know, I don't think that racism, you know, should exist in the church. It should not, you know. But I can't deny that it's there, you know.
And
so
you gave great reasons how it gets in.
yeah,
Great ways
I
of how
think-
it trickles in.
And I think
you know?
T said something. Probably one of the most important things is about teaching.
Mhm.
You know, Proverbs 10 and 12. Hatred stirreth up strife, but love covers all sin. You know, that those things aren't taught in the church. Whether, you know, we'll just say they aren't taught in the church. And they need to be taught in the church. And until those things are taught, until we teach that love conquers all, love conquers hate, until we start stressing upon those things, we'll continue having this conversation, you know, which is still good and all too, you know.
Couple scriptures just to end with. Now, what I want to say, as far as race and religion, your religion not being, because religion has a stigma, but religion is just your observance of a God. You know, whatever it is, the type of faith you demonstrate. I think all religions agree God is a spirit. It's not of this world. He has no flesh, right? When he came through the flesh of a Jew. I will give him that. That when his son was manifest, he came through the womb of a Jew. But God's a spirit. You know, we've already mentioned there being one race, but at least the New Testament is very clear. The Old Testament, there was some lines drawn between Jews and non-Jews, and that was for a reason. And in the next episode, we'll get into that. But Romans 3:29 says, "Is God the God of the Jews only? Is He not the God of the Gentiles too? Yes, of the Gentiles too. For God so loved the whole world, right? God so loved the world. But 1 Corinthians 12:13 says, "For in one spirit we are baptized into one body, whether Jew or Greek, slave or free, and we were given one spirit to drink, which was Christ." Colossians 3:11, here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised. And that's an interesting clarification, because that's obedient to the law of circumcision, the covenant of circumcision. That's the cutting of flesh. You know what I mean? So that's not even a tribe per se. That's a religious observance to a commandment of God. That's not just like how you were born. That's just like, are you following this? Are you doing this? But no Greek, no Jew, no circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave, or free. So it doesn't matter if you're a savage. All are made one in Christ. Christ is all and is in all. That's the mind of a Christian. You know what I mean? That's what Christ, the apostles, taught, that it's like husband and wife forsaking mother and father, like to join to this flesh. Now I'm of this family. And I think part of us as Christians, not to take away, you know, anyone being proud of their culture, where they come from, or the skin they walk in, but I think part of us, when you come to Christ, you're leaving one tribe and gaining another. You're joining another. Who is my mother and who is my brother? So those are just reminders. Those aren't, you know, rebuttals to race, but race over religion. Those are just healthy measures, I think, to keep in mind, that your race, and I stress it, and being from a black church, and like I said, being more comfortable. That's who I tend to be around. Man, look, it's just what happens. But I have great care. Like, I care that I see my brothers and sisters in Christ who are black tempted because of the flesh, to have confidence in the flesh, to trust in religious dogmas and teachings that are based on race. And I see it, and I try to challenge it when I can, because that's not what the book says.
And I think we all should. I think we all should challenge that. You know.
And I'm not for multiculturalism. Keep your culture. Keep your culture. Keep it in the assembly. You know, whatever foods that are customary, you like to eat them when you gather. Enjoy it. Have love. Have fellowship. However that is to your assembly.
Up until the point where that thing contradicts scripture.
Yep. All right. So we're going to jump into the next episode is I'm gonna enjoy this one. It's really, really good sound teaching. It's really good teaching. And that is
He's really gonna enjoy it.
I'm really gonna enjoy it. I'm really, really gonna
I mean,
enjoy
he's
it.
going to destroy the doctrine.
Nah, see, man. Nah, it's not even.
big.
Darkness
He's
is
big.
not a thing.
He's being humble.
Darkness is not a thing.
I'm going to speak. on
Light
behalf
is
of him.
something. Darkness is the absence of light.
He's going to destroy the doctrine.
So I'm going to destroy darkness by just shedding a little light in the room and show exactly what it says.
Crumble the whole foundation.
This guy, got a hype man. Meow, meow, meow. Put him on stage with me like my DJ,
what
my
it say?
hype man.
What it say? Gotta have the translator.
The who?
The-
Oh
You
man,
got a translator. You got a translator.
Yeah.
He speaks humbly. I speak what he wants.
Got
to
you, got you. Like for Obama, like
Yeah.
yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks, for doing this, and we'll jump into
Black power, yo. Black power.
white power. White power.
People power.
I ain't got nothing to say.
You said no power. One power.
This has been Acts 2 and 42. Thank you for listening.